All right, let's get into the papers now. Bring you the headlines across newspapers in Nigeria.
Yes.
We have joining us leadership and communication strategist Dotun Ojon joining us right now. Dotun, good morning.
Dotun, good morning.
Good morning.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
Now let's begin with the Punch newspaper. On Senator Omo Agege, Senate panel chair Marafa Ndume trade words. They've been talking about this and all of that. We also see another 27 killed in Kogi, Borno states. Well, but let's talk about the Senator Omo Agege. A lot of if you spoke to, you heard what different senators are saying. They are condemning it, but people are saying by now we expect some decisive action by the Senate, not just talking and condemning it.
Against Omo Agege.
Omo Agege.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a very volatile political era, time and season that everyone needs to be very careful, and I think that's exactly what's happening in the Senate. For now, we have a period of political ceasefire between the Senate and the presidency. I wasn't expecting that there would be any rowdy session within the Senate, but as it comes up, it has come at a point where the Senate leadership is becoming extremely more careful because, number one, either we like it or not, there are a whole number of people still supporting President Muhammadu Buhari.
What are they being careful about? And talking about support, Marafa and the rest of them, they're saying, look, all this so-called Buhari support group, they're not really in support of Buhari. They're just interested in, ensuring that this election,
PSG, parliamentary support.
Parliamentary, thank you, parliamentary support
If you have taken your time to study the life of an average Nigerian politician, you will know that everything is politicking. And what is the difference between politics and politicking? Politicking directs the entire gain of the democratic process to you as a person. So at the end of the day, while politics may actually direct it to other people, at the end of the day, they are actually looking at what to gain in the process. Number one, this man has come out to make his intention known that he's actually going to recontest.
President Buhari,
President Buhari has come out to say that.
Yeah.
So I think at this point in time, people are beginning to say, oh, there's all likelihood that this man may win election, more so that we've not had any credible, I don't want to use the word credible.
The other politicians have not brought their candidates yet.
Yes, you understand. So that's what is playing out. It's not because they totally love the president, and I think the president is even aware of that. If it's not, I need to tell him that it's not because they actually totally love him, it's because everybody is just interested in the outcome of the next election.
All right, we have Buhari won second term to consolidate gains, says one of his aides. Nigeria will sustain positive growth outlook. Adeosun and Mefele, that's the Minister of Finance and CBN Governor, saying that reject recycled, jaded politicians in 2019. Shoyinka tells Nigerians.
We must begin to define what recycled politicians, what the word actually mean in the first place. But before I go into that, I quickly want to talk about the second term issue. Because at every point in time, I have said it repeatedly, Mike, that a man who will fix Nigeria is a man who is not interested in second term. Unfortunately, even after the second term, there's a third term that people are not aware of. Now, when you win election and you come for second term, the third term idea is you are looking for an anointed candidate who is going to take over from within your party and continue
exactly
on the path of that program. Meanwhile, once we continue to have this kind of mindset, Nigeria may not develop, and it's quite unfortunate.
It's really sad. The UK position on gay marriage, satanic, ignore it. The Christian Association of Nigeria tells Buhari that we have scores injured as Yoruba Hausa clash in Ondo, and the federal government allocation to health too poor, says Emeka Anyoku.
Yeah.
Well, those are some of the headlines on the Punch newspaper.
All right, let's go to the Nation newspaper. 2019, Obasanjo under fire for anti-Buhari campaign. And, of course, we have Shoyinka Falana attack ex-president at Ghani lecture. Saraki Tambuwal give PDP conditions. Let's even look at that particular one. Saraki Tambuwal talking about recycling.
Yeah.
It looks like the more things change, the more they remain the same.
You see,
is that what's playing out here?
One of the things that politicians have been able to successfully import from our even our corporate system is the word experience. At every point in time, that's what they trade with. You
Experienced
see
at what, or experienced where? At what?
That has always been.
You could have experience in corruption.
Experience in
you
governance,
could have experience
in politics and
in the good
politicking.
or the bad,
So that's
yeah.
what they are riding on. And I think it's about time for us to wake up to the reality of innovation. And that is why what has experience taught us in Nigeria, in our political system, it has only taught us division. That, oh, because I have done it before, I am coming, then they say I'm a Muslim, I'm a Christian, they start dividing the people. So I think it's about time for us as a people to play the politics of direction, not the politics of division. Unfortunately, as long as we have experienced professional politicians in saddle of authority, will continue to have this issue of division.
And like they say, politics is too serious to be left to politicians alone. Yeah. All right, Obasanjo under fire for anti-Buhari campaign.
Okay, you know, when somebody is not doing very well, you give the room to people who themselves are not totally trustworthy. You give a say to them. And that's what has happened in this era of the Buhari government. I think the president has left so many things undone. And that does not mean that he's not doing some things. But you need to be strategic in what you achieve. Let me cite an example of fight against corruption. If you are fighting against corruption, in strategy, the first thing you have to do is which fight will benefit the masses. You face those fights. E.g., there's massive corruption in the power sector. You haven't done anything about it. There's massive corruption in the judiciary. You haven't done so much of it. And you're telling the people that you are actually recouping funds.
But the DSS raided some judges some time ago.
And then how far have you gone about them? Well. So I think this government needs more of strategy. It's not as if, in all honesty,
others will
when
say,
you are working, you need to be strategic on what to do.
Others will also say that the issue of perception also matters, because your body language. Now, if members of your government or your cabinet are seen to be, even though they've not been they've not been pronounced by a law court that they're corrupt, but any kind of allegations against them, Nigerians want to see a very decisive action to create the body language of the fact that you are working. Nigerians have not forgotten about
the Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has said there is no corruption under this administration.
That is a very, 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 I'm being careful, but everybody knows. And I've cited examples here and there. I can tell you that maybe it's not the last. There was recruitment into the civil defense one time. And at the end of the training, the people were supposed to go home with an amount of money, maybe 400 or 500, I can't remember the precise amount. The officials, in connivance with the civil servant and other, divided it into two. And that is what I know. That is the part I am exposed to. So corruption is still rife in this government. Unfortunately, people can come out that we are not corrupt because they do not have the lump sum to actually take home like the last government.
Okay, are you impressed? There was
availability of a lot of money, useless money in the last administration, so they were just packing it. So the level of corruption in this government is proportional to the availability of funds.
Okay, are you impressed with the fact that the federal government is planning to reform the NNPC for transparency? At least we're hearing that from Kemi Adeosun.
Of course, I am very elated, I'm very happy, because that is the headquarters of corruption, either you like it or not, from government after government. Unfortunately, you get to hear this story. When former President Obasanjo was there, he was in charge of the ministry. When former President late Yaradua was there, he was practically in charge. Now we have a president who is also in charge. Then what is the experience telling us? Experience is telling us that either we like it or not, maybe our president are even benefiting from the corruption in the NNPC. So until we have a government who stands against this, we will not believe otherwise.
Or on the other hand, there is something Nigerians cannot see when it comes to
a lot of things that we cannot see.
Something Nigerians cannot understand.
Cannot see.
All right, there you go.
That's all. Okay, let's move to the Daily Sun now. 15 killed in Kogi, Borno attacks. Blood flows as insurgents strike mosque. This is really sad, really very sad. When one thinks that the concept of, or the idea of bomb blasts have really simmered down, we have this coming up now. And then in Kogi, the herdsmen are still spreading across the middle belt.
I think, again, we go to the issue of being decisive as a government. You know, I'm tempted to say that the mistake the media made from inception is to be calling these people Fulani headsmen. Because to me, as a person, I've begun to think that the attachment of the Fulani is what is actually holding the hand of the president from performing. So if we had removed Fulani headsmen and called them criminal headsmen, maybe the president would have woken up and acted so decisively.
No, but the president has superior information. He gets security updates of everything that's going on. So whether you target
that they are from Libya.
Whether you target,
so we should believe that they are from Libya.
It was the government who told us that these people are not Nigerians. It was the government who told us. Of course.
Is that what you are saying? I should believe that they are from Libya.
If the president says so, you won't believe it.
I will not believe. I have. See,
so what do you believe?
I believe that these people are actually part of Boko Haram organization. They are just criminals here and there who are hiding under the headsmen platform. Why are they hiding under it? Because they know that the government has not been decisive. Why are they not hiding under Boko Haram? When this present government came, it nearly cleared Boko Haram, if not because of a time that everything just cemented down. If we had continued at that pace, we will not be hearing anything about Boko Haram. It's because government is not decisive on issue of headsmen. That's why other criminal groups, I don't even know whether my people from my village, some criminals there are also hiding under this thing. Because you are totally confused. So all these problems are as a result of the fact that the government was not decisive on the issue of herdsmen the way it was decisive on the issue of Boko Haram.
And now you have herdsmen attacks that's been franchised somewhat. And like you said, some people are just hiding.
Everybody is
hiding
just,
under
every criminal is just hiding under it.
Canopy. All right, we have Wike fingers for the government on attack, in the attack on the Senate. An action disgrace to democracy. Saraki is saying that. Well, this is kind of decisive, where they say that it seems the federal government is behind the attack at the Senate.
I think this should just teach the senators a lot of sense. That means that any group from Lagos can actually enter one bus from here, carry them to the National Assembly, and beat all the senators up and return to base without. So I think more than the political undertones here and there, we should know about the seriousness of our security failure. It has shown that if you think you are safe in Abuja, my brother, it's a lie. So I think everybody needs to wake up now to the reality that we have a security challenge. You and I live in Lagos. We may actually be thinking that, oh, he cannot get to Lagos. But again, if insecurity can walk into the National Assembly, because that's my own interpretation, then it can walk into anywhere.
All right. We have finally federal government ends BSc HND dichotomy.
That has been the story. You know, I am privileged to go through a polytechnic and the university. So I understand when they are saying they want to end the dichotomy, I understand that it's a confusion. In all honesty, it's a confusion. If you want HND holder and BSc holder to end the same thing, it is understandable. But the arrow can never be the same thing. When I went to the Polytechnic, I came out with a mindset of creating jobs for my people and to drive the innovative and the middle class segment of the society. I don't know what's happening.
And if Nigeria is to really have a skilled workforce, you would need the Polytechnics.
You will need them
to drive that.
Exactly.
Otherwise,
the SMEs. Yes. SMEs will largely depend on what
it's coming out from the
and technical schools.
A university VC was sharing with me one time. He went abroad for sabbatical or something. So he saw one very big vehicle. He was actually looking. He was asking the people, who's the owner of this big vehicle? Is it the president? The man laughed and said, no, it's actually the chef. So the man, how can your chef own this? He said, I tell you that the chef earns higher than the VC. The guy was surprised because these are areas of expertise.
Yeah,
all right.
Exactly.
The cameraman can earn more than the CEO.
Yeah, okay, that's all on the Daily Sun now.
All right, my final paper this morning, the Vanguard, politicians behind killings in Middle Belt. And that's the presidency saying there. Alleges plots to divide Nigerians using farmers and herders crisis. Nationwide killings, source of concern. That's Gowon speaking there. Nigeria bleeding, says Governor Saraki Dixon, calls for prayers. What else do we have to say to that? What do we have to say to these things?
It's really sad. That
okay, economic growth still slow. Udo Udoma is speaking there. That's Budget and Planning Minister. And you have a bold, huge statue of Gani Faemi that's been unveiled Of course, he's been described as a hero of our generation.
Yeah.
The point is it enough to erect these statues or statue in the name of Gani Fahimi, or to actually put in place the things he fought for over the years?
Yeah,
Senior advocate of the masses.
Yeah, that would have been better, but you know that we are still trying to struggle with the entire political system. I listened to him speak one time, years back, in a town hall meeting in Ondo, and from that day, I decided the path that I would take. So it is not accidental that I've taken this path. Unfortunately, I think we need more rightists than activists. Activists, now many of them are bought over. I see people, Mike, I see people talk on television, and I begin to research into their lifestyle. And I know that many people are talking because maybe this government has not settled them. I know that many people are complaining because they have not taken their rightful position. That is why, at this point in time, I think we need more rightists, those people who will stand with a fact, no matter who is. I will be like this till I leave this earth. If you give me, do you understand what I'm saying? So I think what he even fought for within the community of activists, I think we are even missing it.
Okay. All right, U.S.-Nigeria Investment Summit. Emefiele Adeosun replies, Sanusi, of course, he's been reeling about their absence at this all-important investment meeting that should have been held in the U.S. According to him, Works and Housing Minister was... So many ministers in town, but none of them attended this particular meeting.
This is not the first time.
And they're responding, they're saying, look, that meeting actually clashed with our own, program. So,
private meeting.
Yeah.
I hope that our traveling abroad, our meetings here and there, that our involvement in meetings here will be able to, number one, attract investment to Nigeria, and number two, maybe it will also cure our mindset of our begging mindset. You know, I've said it repeatedly.
But why do we have so many ministers out of the country all at the same time? Are you sure they're not going out
I wouldn't know why they're out, but I just want the gain of their traveling to
ministers are
Nigeria.
Yeah.
We are not going there to beg.
Working.
We are going there to tell them that we have what the world needs. What the world needs at this point in time. And we have it. We have it in manpower. We have it in innovation. We have
natural resources.
But the statements coming from Mr. President, is it making their job easier or more difficult?
Which one?
If we're to take what the president said as Nigerian youth being lazy.
Yeah, you know, the president
and some are saying he never used that word. He never used that word, yes. But he said they sit around expecting free education, free health, free this, free that.
Will you give me a minute on that?
Go ahead.
I think that statement now has created 4 classes of people. Those who are against the statement outrightly, maybe either they understand or not is not a matter. Those who will always support the president, either the president is right or wrong. And those of us who understand what the president has said and we still criticize him. I did not criticize the president because of what he said. I criticized the president because of what he did not say. Now, this is what I mean. If you are criticizing people that are not making effort, I think you should also commend people that are making impact. There are people like you and I who have broke through poverty to make impact in the nation. So I expect before the president will put his hammer down the head of the lazy one, put the hammer down the head of those that are not making effort, that you praise those people. Mark came here the other time. He didn't see lazy Nigerians. He said Lagos is the most energetic nation in the world.
Mark Zuckerberg, you mean?
Yes, a city where people wake up as early as 5 a.m. and they don't get to return at 11 p.m. So I criticize the president for what he did not say and not for what he said.
It is even said that a leader of a country, when you have the platform on the international scene, you say everything that will project your country. You sell your country, not demarket it. But it's all right. That is gone now.
That is actually the little difference between tact and truth. If you think you know truth and you do not have tact, you will run your government down.
Yeah. All right. This day, newspaper, finally, why we paid $469 million for Tucano aircraft ahead of National Assembly approval by Buhari. Money taken from the excess crude account as President seeks supplementary input to 2018 budget on anticipatory approval. Jets to be delivered in 2020, says U.S. government confirms payment. Wow.
Payment has been made.
The lawyers will still say, well, the point, as far as the National Assembly did not approve the process, is not right.
Something
is wrong with the process.
I think we should get to a point where the executive and the National Assembly members will have a meeting point beyond even what is said on the floor of the House. There are meetings, there are what do they call? There are lobbyings here and there that need to be done. I think the government should learn, because if we continue to have this war between these two elements, the grassy masses will continue to suffer. A man from the northeast does not understand the grammar of process. All he wants is that he wants the problem of insecurity solved. You and I that live in Lagos may be considering the process, but the man there is just saying let the government do whatever it can to solve the problem of insecurity.
Exactly.
And I think synergy will actually help.
Okay, let's just run through this. We did not shun foreign investors, say Adeosun and Mefele. This is a fallout of the one you took earlier on. CBN governor signposts possible monetary policy easing soon and puts external reserves at $47.93 billion. And finance minister says 17 million Nigerians now pay taxes. Well, this is an improvement from the previous one. And the presidency blames opposition for federal government's failure to stem herdsmen killings. This is talking precisely from the perspective of the opposition not being not cooperating with the government and creating disharmony in the system.
And politicizing it.
Did they cooperate with the last government?
Oh, well.
We have not had history of opposition cooperating in Nigeria. You just need to do what you need to do.
Okay, we have to leave you here now. We must thank you very much, Dotun Ojon, for coming on the program. But we have to keep you for the next discussion as well.